Pro tips! Hey everyone, welcome to the season finale of Pro Tips! For the final episode of the season, we'll be talking about the secret, the number one key ingredient to creating an Omni-Roast profile. Now for those of you who might not be familiar with the term, an Omni-Roast refers to a coffee that was roasted as a singular roast profile that can be used with any brewing method from manual pour-overs to pressurized brewing systems like the espresso. This is in contrast to traditional roast styles, where the coffee is roasted for a specific brewing style. So why would you want to do an Omni-Roast? The advantages are many. You don't need to roast as much coffee to profile it, so you save time, labor, coffee, which of course means money. There is also less packaging costs and it makes logistics easier. But it can be difficult to achieve at a consistently high quality. Omni-Roasts are a compromise of the farmer's work at best because it doesn't showcase the coffee to its maximum potential. Rarely, if not never, do you see a barista at a competition talking about using an Omni-Roasted coffee. Instead, they almost always talk about roasting to highlight a specific characteristic that they want to present through their brewing. Omni-Roast lacks this specificity and it requires the barista to have a very high level of mastery over their brewing skills to be able to properly calibrate and present the coffee. So even if you can execute these 2 points, your customers might not. So this style is definitely not suited for the home consumer. The main reason why the concept of Omni-Roast is difficult to achieve is due to the resulting acidity of the coffee. Develop it too much for espresso and it'll be too dull and heavy for filter coffee. Develop the coffee lighter for filter coffee and it will inevitably become too thin and sour for espresso. Some people explain this difference because of this differing solubility generated in the filter versus espresso roast. Light roasts are just not soluble enough for short brewing times of espresso and thus presents an under-extracted and sour cup. But I beg to differ. It's not about the solubility of the coffee, but rather the acid and sugar composition of your coffee resulting from your roast and brew. Now regardless of the cause, the final cup will see a compromise of acidity, either too sour in an espresso or too dull in a filter. The key to creating a successful Omni-Roast is understanding how to balance out the acidity for both brew methods. This requires an involvement from both the roaster and the barista. First, the coffee needs to be roasted to be more developed to make sure the organic acids in the coffee are sufficiently broken down to be manageable for espresso extraction. That means a longer roast development time. Yes, you can't create an ultra-light coffee for an Omni-Roast. The sugars will never be able to balance out the acids at the concentration of an espresso. But you don't want to create an unnecessarily dark roast either by overextending your roast development time. So to counter that, you want a slower overall roast with gentler heat. Secondly, on the brewing side, you need to lengthen the brew ratio with the espresso to tone down the intensity of the retained acids in the coffee. So if the traditional espresso is 1:2, we're looking at around 1:2.5 or more to achieve a sufficiently balanced cup. On the other hand, with the filter coffee, we want to look at tightening and shortening the brew ratio to bump up the concentration and the perceived intensity of the acidity. So instead of longer brew ratios, like 1:15 or 1:18, we're looking at 1:14 or lesser. Now, don't get me wrong, your espresso will still be a little bit bright and your filter coffee is heavier than usual, but it will be way more balanced and palatable as opposed to forcing traditional brew recipes onto your Omni-Roast. And that's it for the season finale of Pro Tips. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the episodes of the season. Now I know what you're thinking, don't worry, we aren't going anywhere. We have more exciting coffee roasting content coming your way in the near future. So if you haven't already, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that you get notified when we release more awesome content like this one. We'll see you next. Well, no, just see ya. Oh, and don't forget, if you want to learn more about coffee roasting, make sure to check out our Ultimate Coffee Roasting course where we teach you all the variables of coffee roasting and how to manipulate them to be able to roast better than anyone. Link is in the description below, make sure to check it out and I hope to see you there. Bye!